They stood on my porch like a lawsuit in human form. Polished shoes, rehearsed grief, and I told them flat, "There's no child for you to meet." The color left their faces like a sheet being pulled away. My name is Maya Cole. I'm 39. 22 years ago, when I was a terrified sophomore with a secret, my parents, Graham and Eleanor Vale, turned me out of the house with a paper towel of sympathy and a slammed door. They called me disgrace. They erased my face from our mantle. Tonight they came back, loud and entitled, as if abandonment grants them ownership. That porch is where the old wound reopened, and where the plan I'd stitched in secret finally clicked into place. Quick pause. If you love stories where the betrayed build a counter-truth and serve it cold, hit like and subscribe. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I read every single one. Now lean in. This is not a petty revenge. It's a slow demolition of everything they thought could own me. Graham's voice was a metronome of contempt the night he turned me out. "You're not our daughter," he said, adjusting his cuff like he was closing a business deal. Eleanor didn't look at me. She polished her nails as if my pregnancy were a stain on a fabric she could rub away. 10 minutes, 2 dresses, a necklace I hid in my sock, and then, the lock clicking, a small sound that felt like a judge's gavel. The city lights of Austin blurred into a smear as I walked away. Liam Pierce, the boy who'd promised to run away with me under stadium lights, went silent. First a shaky phone call, then nothing. His number blocked. His parents' lawyers sent a letter denying everything. College mattered more than the life growing inside me. The street lamps became my lullaby and my judge. I learned fast. People will choose comfort over you, every single time. For months I slept under a bridge of indifferent sky, Zilker Park's dew stealing the heat from my bones. I watched other lives walk by in slow motion. Couples, co-workers, people with warm coffee in their hands. Each step away from me taught me one lesson. If I wanted safety, I had to build it myself. Not with anger, but with precision. Not to destroy, to outlast. At dawn, an old woman in a camel coat found me curled against a bench. Vivian Whitcomb smelled of lavender and had hands that smelled of books. She offered a scarf, then breakfast, then rooms in one of the hotels she owned. "You can sleep," she said. "Or you can learn how to stand so tall they regret ever sitting in judgment." Her name was a key in a lock I didn't yet know I needed. Vivian taught me how to read a ledger the way other people read faces. She put me in a uniform and watched me turn criticism into opportunity. A smile for a complaint, a word for a problem, a ledger entry for every leak in a business. She taught restraint like it was a weapon. Patience, timing, paperwork. In the office, with the coffee steam curling like smoke, she said, "Collect their words. People betray themselves with their own voices." She introduced me to Marcus Hale, a lawyer with a stare that made loopholes rearrange themselves into traps, and to Riley Park, a small woman with a laptop and a talent for making digital ghosts. They were quiet, efficient, and excellent listeners. I had been abandoned. They had the skills to make abandonment a legal and public problem for those who caused it. Then I lost the child. There's no graceful way to say a body failed when I needed it most. For weeks I hollowed out, walked rooms like someone learning the floor plan of absence. But Vivian refused to let me rot in that hole. She helped me turn grief into structure. Adoption paperwork, calls with social workers, long evenings reading baby names aloud until a small heartbeat felt possible again. We found a tiny, fierce child at a shelter, Rowan. He had eyes like a made promise. I named him after the city that broke but rebuilt me. From the moment he fit into my arms, every plan sharpened. Rowan's first toys were logic games. His first classes were coding camps. I would not only give him love, I would give him armor. Education, exposure, and a future that would make the vultures circle that I started feeding the rumor mill. Anonymous notes to local tech writers about a prodigy in Austin whose software could cut hotel costs in half. A single, untraceable code snippet leaked in the right Slack channel, enough to spark curiosity. The story rode the tide of clicks. Then a tablet arrived at my desk with a card. "For our grandson. Reconnect?" Signed, in Graham and Eleanor's cramped script. Their words smelled of bait. I sent it back with a trembling note I knew Marcus would reproduce. This brings back too much. Not ready. The word too was a lever. It made them press. Riley began to watch their footprints. IP pings, searches for grandparent rights, halfway formed emails to investigators. Marcus found a dusty document signed 22 years ago. Graham and Eleanor's formal renunciation of parental rights. A piece of paper Graham had signed as casually as a receipt. I fed their curiosity, then turned them on one another. Anonymous notes implied Liam was angling for money. Another hinted Graham planned to use Rowan's success to rebuild his reputation. Their paranoia bloomed into arguments Riley recorded. They filed a court motion. A post went up on a popular Austin forum. "Where are our family values?" And it looked honest enough to stir pity. But the post was flagged by Riley's tracers as paid PR. Marcus assembled everything. The renunciation, the intercepted emails, the recorded calls. The world they wanted to use as leverage became the courtroom where they'd be judged. Rowan's keynote at the Austin Tech Collective was the stage. Industry lights, camera drones, people who mattered. I watched from the wings while Marcus and Vivian cued the pieces. Rowan spoke about chosen families, about mentors and people who kept promises. Vivian's pre-recorded message played across the screen. Family is who shows up when the world asks for proof. The crowd leaned forward. Graham and Eleanor sat stiff as taxidermied birds in the front row. Liam smaller than he'd ever been. Then Marcus walked out with the paper. The projection showed, in black text, the renunciation Graham and Eleanor had signed. "I relinquish claim." Gasps washed across the room like a storm. Riley's intercepted messages lit the screen. Plans, offers, greed in plain text. I stood, voice steady, and told them the truth they'd never expected. The pregnancy, the miscarriage, the years of absence. I said, "Rowan is my son by choice. You abandoned me. There is no grandchild to reclaim." Cameras thudded as people recorded, and the front row drained of dignity. Security escorted them out. Marcus served restraining orders on the spot. Within days, their real estate clients peeled away, contracts evaporated, and social feeds turned their names into a warning. Liam's hidden ledgers, nudged by Riley's network, triggered audits that finally tracked debts no one wanted to sign. Their small empire, built on appearances, crumbled because they had traded loyalty for reputation. We opened the Whitcomb Foundation, housing and job training for single mothers, on a cool morning. Rowan clapped when I cut the ribbon. I turned to Marcus in front of 50 volunteers and slid a ring onto his finger. Not a trophy. Promise. Not revenge for revenge's sake, but proof that consequence is quieter and stronger than fury if you stayed to the end. Tell me. When were you pushed away and how did you come back stronger? Drop your story below. I read them all. If you felt that tingle when justice landed, like and share. It helps more people who've been shoved out know they can build again. Revenge told as theater is satisfying, but the real triumph was learning to be whole on my own terms, not defined by what I lost but by what I built. A home for Rowan, a life with Marcus, and a foundation for other women. The door they slammed closed years ago. I rebuilt it into an entrance for anyone who needs shelter. And I keep a spare key.